stamps on everything from milk to eggs, even beer. Now you may remember we recently learned the difference between sell-by or best before dates and the use-by dates on food.
The best by and sell-by dates indicate freshness. Pre-packaged foods that'll keep fresh for less than 90 days should have that labeling.
That doesn't mean that automatically on November 17th or on the 18th that it's no longer safe to eat.
The shelf life will be a lot less if it's been opened. The expiration date is put on products that may not be effective after that date. For example, infant formula must have a use-by date because ingredients in the product could deteriorate. But you probably still have questions.
For instance, who sets the standards for these dates? Well, it depends on where you live. The date can signify different things in different states.
As a matter of fact, a new report from the Harvard Food Law and Policy Clinic called The Dating Game calls the whole labeling system a total mess and suggests those labels may lead Americans to throw out tons of perfectly good food each year. We're here to tell us more is Dr. Melinda Cecil, Assistant Professor at Dietetics Program Director of University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Thank you so much for joining us.
Glad
I tell you the truth. I thought this whole use by, sell by, the date thing in total was like federally controlled, mandated stuff. All this is what's supposed to happen.
Nope. The only thing that's really federally mandated is the use-by date on formula, because you've got a nutrition composition here, and all they can do is guarantee that up until that date it contains these nutrients in these amounts. And of course that's important because if we have amounts that aren't correct, it could cause illness in an infant. So it is really important.
That's problematic.
Yeah.
Now, different states, you say, have different, I guess, things that different uses for these, or different standards,
Right.
is what I'm talking about. In Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia, for example, what are we seeing?
We're looking at milk dates in Maryland. We're looking at fresh shucked shellfish in Delaware. And
both in Virginia, right?
exactly.
Right. Those are the only items that are required to have these dates on them in those states,
Right.
correct?
That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Wow. But the whole dating thing really isn't an exact science.
Not at all. And that's what's so confusing to the public. And even I, as a nutritionist, get confused and think, and that's what leads to what you said earlier about all this food waste. That maybe we are throwing away perfectly good food, but we're looking at the dates and thinking it's not good anymore.
All right, let's clear up some of that confusion, or at least try to,
Sure.
and take a look at some of the labels we might see on our food, starting with a sell-by date. What does that mean?
A sell-by date is really a manufacturer's date, and that's used to help manufacturers know what the peak quality would be, but it has nothing to do with whether it's fit to eat.
Right.
And so there's some thought that that even shouldn't be available for consumers to see.
And best if used by, pretty much the same thing?
Very similar, except when it comes to infant formula, and that use-by date is federally regulated.
And then used by?
Yep.
Yeah,
same
more
thing.
of the same.
Yep, same thing.
And then we see the closed or coded dates on the packing numbers or whatever, the dates that I don't even understand.
Right. And they're manufacturing codes. And again, looking at quality from the manufacturer's standpoint, but they're basically just what the manufacturer feels is important.
Okay, so let's say I've got something like salad dressing.
Okay.
If I've got salad dressing and I open it,
Right.
and it's got a best if used by date on it, does that change the date once I've opened it?
Not really. You're looking at a 1 to 2 month with most mayonnaise and creamy type salad dressings, whether they're opened or not. And again, it's the quality. If you go to a vinaigrette, something that's got more vinegar in it, you're going to 3 to 4 months. But what's important is common sense. And as a consumer, if you look at a product and it doesn't smell right, it doesn't look the same color it did originally, it's not mixing well, even when you shake it, then it's better, when in doubt, throw it out.
Something ought to tell you, I don't want to eat this.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Now let's take a look at some, I know that with poultry and meats and things like that, they have what they call freeze-by dates once we get them home. And the FDA has some recommendations here. Poultry, you should...
1 to 2 days, and then freeze after that. That way you risk or limit the kind of bacteria that could be growing on it and still safe. Beef, pork, and lamb, 3 to 5 days. Those are whole meats. But ground beef is just like poultry, 1 to 2 days, because you've got a lot of surface area there, a lot of places those bacteria can hide.
Right.
So you don't want to keep it long in your refrigerator. And then your eggs can be 3 to 5 weeks.
Really?
Okay, now I got to tell you the truth. I love my eggs, and I don't always know how long they've been in the refrigerator. Is there some way I can know for sure?
There are a couple of ways.
Okay.
First of all, you do have a date at one of the ends of the carton.
Oh,
And
okay.
this one happens to be 45 days out from when these were washed and put in. These are actually Delmarva eggs. They
Okay.
were raised here, on, and
You're going to show us how to open the egg and tell if it's
that's
fresh or
right.
not.
Okay.
So let's see what you
Exactly.
do.
Exactly. What you do is you crack your egg, like you would, and if
There you go.
what you're going to see is a beautifully raised
Yolk.
yolk. The
Nice high
yolk
yolk.
has a nice height to it.
Okay.
You see this inner, thicker white, and you want to see that, and then
Right.
you see a little thinner.
All the way around.
All right. In
That's a good egg.
That's a very good egg, and it's actually a little cloudy. It's not perfectly clear. But if
So
this were,
if it's cloudy, it's fresher,
it's
right?
okay. Yep.
Oh,
If it's a
okay.
little cloudy, it's okay.
Huh.
But I think some people would think, oh, it can't be good. But actually, that's an indication of a fresh egg. Now, if it's old, you're not even going to see this inner ring. You're going to see a very flattened yolk, and that tells you that's been around a long
I'll
time.
be looking at my eggs now, that's for sure.
And what
Learn
also is
something.
important is while fresh can be 3 to 5 weeks, if I hard cook this, it damages the porousness of the shell, and I can like keep it a week in the refrigerator. So hard cooked eggs have a much shorter
Don't
length of
last
time.
as long. Thank you
Dr.
so
Melinda,
much.
thank you so
Oh, you're
much.
very
Good
welcome.
information. And we've been talking about staying safe when it comes to your food. Another part of your overall health is the condition of your mouth. Did you know Botox can help? We learned yesterday about its benefits when it comes to certain medical conditions. Today we find out how Botox can help people who have certain dental issues.
And a little later on, we're going to learn about story pirates and find out how they're allowing kids to see their imaginations come to life, plus how your family can also be part of this great program. But first, we just touched on food safety. Rachel Ray has a handy how-to tip on how to keep some of our veggies and other favorites fresh.
I love good old brown paper sacks. Next time you want microwave popcorn, pour popcorn in here, pop it in the microwave, boom, microwave popcorn. You can also use these sacks to prolong the life of my 3 favorite ingredients in the kitchen. Garlic, shallots, onions. They need a little bit of air, no moisture. You don't want to keep them in the fridge. You take a good old brown paper sack, punch some holes in it, store your shallots or your garlic and or your onions in here, and you will get up to 3 months out of them.